just recently that the story of a mother from Taita Taveta and the plight of her 3 sons came to the limelight. It is through this that many came to learn about a condition called Dysphalinopathy. My name is Chabet Birir, and on this episode of Health Digest, I will be telling you more about this disease and the available treatment and management options. In this village in Weruga in Wundanyi, Taita Taveta County, lives Rael Joffrey. She has 3 sons who have been an asset of sorts and a challenge in a different way. The 3 sons, who are now adults, are hardworking, trying to make ends meet by all means necessary. However, she wishes that they could have an easy time moving around like their peers. Rael says her sons were born healthy, grew up like other normal children until things changed. Changes that befell each one of her sons, leaving her confused with many unanswered questions.
Niko na watoto 4, mmoja wa kike, wa 4 wa kiume. Huyo wa kwanza alianza na ugonjwa akiwa standard 4. Hakuwa anaona, macho haikuwa naona. Tukaenda West Hospital, tukaambia twende Voi. Tulipoenda Voi, akaangaliwa macho, tukaambia tumnunulie miwani ya 300. Tukamnunulia. Akawa amepatiwa dawa na hizo miwani. Tukaja tukakaa, tukarudi tena Voi. Akaambiwa sasa hana shida, anaona kwa ubao vizuri. Ashane na akitaka kuvaa miwani avae, akitaka asivae. Kidogo akaanza kuenda kama mtu ambaye amelewa. Tukauliza huyu ni nini? Akamaliza standard 8. Akaenda kujiunga na seremala. Akawa mfanya biashara wa seremala. Sasa kukakaa, akaanza kushindwa na kushika ile randa. Miguu nayo anashindwa na kutembea. Tukapeleka Wesu, tukazunguka kila pahali, tunawapeleka kila mahali. Hakuna tofauti yoyote. Tukaanza kuona mtoto anaanza kukauka miguu. Unaona miguu inakauka. Vidole navyo vinakunjika. Kuongea, akiwa anaongea sauti anatetemeka. Saa nyingine akianza kuangalia, anaangalia macho sijui namna gani. Mwingine tena ndio akaingia form 4 Shimbo Secondary. Alipoingia form 3 akaanzwa na yeye. Akaanza kwenda kama mtu amelewa. Nikasema sasa hawa watoto wanapatiwa bangi na wenzao hapa barabarani, maana yake sisi ndio watu wa barabarani wa kufanya biashara hapa madukani. Kama huo mnapatiwa bangi na wenzao, mwe mnatembea na mnaibu, mtanyambia na wapige kelele nikiwa dukani. Haya, tukawa tunawapeleka kila mahali, naambiwa ugonjwa hauonekani. Naanza kuona watoto wameanza kukauka miguu. Huyu na yeye alikuwa akisoma Voi. Alikuwa anasoma Mwakichuchu Secondary. Kufika form 3 tukapigiwa simu na mwalimu. Alipopigiwa simu na mwalimu, tukaambiwa mtoto wenu akikaa kwa klasi ananyamaza kimya. Ananyamaza kimya, hata hataki kuongea. Hata akiona mwalimu ameingia, hajui kama mwalimu ameingia. Tukaambia tumpeleke hospitalini aende kuangaliwa kichwa. Tulipompeleka kuangaliwa kichwa, tukaambia hata hakuna tofauti yoyote. Ndio akasoma, akamaliza Mwakichuchu, lakini hakuwa amepita kwa vizuri. Ndio akarudi hapa nyumbani, ndio huyu akashikilia ile duka ambaye nilikuwa nikifanya shughuli, na yeye anauza vitu vyake vidogo vidogo.
At the age of 40, Hamilton Muhanga wishes he could understand what he is suffering from, the nature of the illness and a possible cure. The disease has not only affected his muscles, but his speech is also labored, and it all started with the gradual loss of sight.
Shida iliyoanza kunipata nilikuwa sioni, hata nikiangalia kwa ukuta sioni kitu. Alafu baada hiyo nikapelekwa Vesu, Voi, karibu ya hospitali nyingi, hata zingine nimesahau. Alafu baada ya muda miguu ikaanza kuleta shida, sitembei, nashindwa hata kufanya ile kazi nilikuwa nafanya ya carpentry, nashindwa kupiga jack plane. Hivyo mpaka sasa hii nilipoona mambo yamezidi, nikatafuta ng'ombe zangu nikaanza kuchunga hapa nyumbani. Niwe napata kitu kidogo kidogo, nikipata 100 ama 50 nashukuru.
Rael and her sons have been in and out of several hospitals seeking a way out, but all that was prescribed for them was painkillers. Meanwhile, as days turned into months and later years, movement for the sons became slower and unstable.
Vesu nimeenda, wanaangalia, wanaambiwa miguu yao hata kama inafanyika namna hii hatujui ni ugonjwa gani hivi. Tunapatiwa dawa za maumivu, tunarudi. Hakuna dawa nyingine tunapatiwa dawa za maumivu tu, tunarudi. Kesho hivyo, kesho hivyo. Huyu naye tulipompeleka tukaambiwa hata tena kichwa yake iko sawa sawa. Kwa nini huwa anatulia kimya? Kwa nini anatulia? Sasa tunaona tu wakianguka anguka.
Many communities in Africa and Kenya do have twisted perceptions to rare medical conditions like this. Rael's local community is not any different. Most locals think that the family has been cursed. According to experts, Hamilton, Benson and Ronald are suffering from a condition known as Dysphalinopathy. This is a genetic condition that has no cure.
Dysphalinopathy is a disease, it is abbreviated as DYSF, which is a gene that affects mostly men. And it starts at around puberty, around 12 to 14 years. But its effects or symptoms are manifested at around 30 years. So it's a gene that men are carriers. Now, men being carriers, you can now know why the only male are the ones who are affected in that family, because the girls are okay. The men are affected because it's the men who are carriers, and the symptoms start getting worse at around 30 years old, when they are 30 years old. So this condition is not a condition that you can say it can be treated, because now it is a gene. It means it is within the family line. So there is somewhere where it started in that family. Maybe with their great-great-grandfathers, maybe they didn't notice, but that has been the trend in that family. Now, this problem is a problem that affects a gene that we call the FAR1-like protein, that is FER, FAR-like protein, which its work is always to repair muscles in case a muscle is damaged. Now, when it is not repaired, you can imagine what happens. The muscle starts losing its fiber, its tone, and its bulkiness. So in the process, it ends up being what we call a dystrophy, because one, the muscles are weak and they have lost its volume or its muscle girth, and it is a disease that cannot be cured. So what happens is that for that family, they need a lot of counseling. They need people who can pull resources together to help them also find assistive devices, to use them walk around, to use the limbs, and also to make sure that the little fibers of muscles that have remained can continue giving them optimum power, to make sure that they work, they continue doing their daily work. So they need extensive physiotherapy and occupational therapy and counseling. Those are the things that they really need. And also, they also need to get in touch with a gynecologist, with a nutritionist, who will be able to advise them on what types of food to eat, so that it can help them maintain the muscles that they have, so that they can continue doing their day-to-day activities. Like I watch them try to help their parents to take care of their animals, and I think they were really struggling. But if they were given assistive devices, like for example walking aids and assistive devices for their hands, I think it will go far in helping them to achieve their day-to-day duties, to make sure that they work and help their parents.
Dysphalinopathies are a group of muscle diseases that cause a slow progression of muscle weakness and wasting. The diseases in this group are Miyoshi myopathy, where there is weakness and wasting of the muscles of the legs that are closer to the feet; limb girdle muscular dystrophy, which causes weakness and wasting of the pelvic and shoulder muscles; scapuloperoneal syndrome, which is the weakening and wasting of muscles of both the distal legs and shoulder girdle muscles; distal myopathy with anterior tibial onset. This is where there is weakness of the front part of the leg and foot drop. All dysphalinopathies are caused by pathogenic mutations in the DYSF or dysphalin gene, which provides instructions for making a protein called dysphalin. This protein is found in the thin membrane called the sarcolemma that surrounds muscle fibers. Dysphalin helps in repairing the sarcolemma when it becomes damaged or torn due to muscle strain. So how is dysphalinopathy diagnosed? Usually, medical experts use blood samples and a detailed family history of the patient. Then they locate the source of weakness in the muscle. The process also involves genetic sequencing of the DYSF gene. However, this process is quite expensive.
The tests that are involved make sure that they see if the gene is still so much prevalent in the family. The tests are also very expensive, and if they got somebody who can help them to make sure that, for example, if they get married, before they get married, they can be able to see if the gene is it still so dominant in the family. And another thing is they should make sure that people don't intermarry, don't have that close family intermarriages. For example, they need to go and marry somebody who is very far, so that they make sure that that gene goes to extinct, maybe in the future.
Is there a possibility that if they get married,
yes,
their children may not really have this kind of a problem?
It is because it's a mutation. There might be a mutation because right now what we are seeing, it is what we call Dysphalin or Dysphalinopathy, but it sometimes mutates. Now, if it mutates to something like what we call Miyoshi dystrophy. So Miyoshi dystrophy, which is either Miyoshi dystrophy or mystrophy, it is something that now is a disease now that is more serious than what they have. So there is a possibility that it goes down, or there will be another possibility that it can mutate, and then it comes with another one that is more virulent or more stronger than the one that they are having. So the probability of it mutating is so high because it's a protein, and that protein, whenever they get married, and it is passed on to their children.
Being a very rare disease, there isn't much information or research done on the disease, especially here in Kenya. It is not known how many people are living with this condition.
When you look at the literature in Kenya, it is one of the least known cases in Kenya. So in fact, we don't even have enough literature about the disease in Kenya. So it's not very, very much pronounced in Kenya. Yes. So the probability of them getting it and marrying other people, maybe who don't have the same, is so high. So in that process, there is a likelihood that maybe they're coming in other generations that will come after them. It might have gone down, or it might have we might not even see it again. But also the probability, there are two probabilities. The one, it can mutate, or two, it can get extinct.
The symptoms associated with dysphalinopathies are highly variable. Some patients have no symptoms at all, while others develop severe inability to function. In general, muscular dystrophies cause wasting and weakening of muscles. In limb girdle muscular dystrophies, the muscles in the shoulder and pelvic girdle, that is the large muscles around the top part of the arms and legs, are most affected. Early symptoms of limb girdle muscular dystrophies include difficulty in running, climbing stairs, standing and even walking. As the disease progresses, it may become difficult for some patients to do activities that require the arms to be raised for a duration.
It doesn't affect a lot of systems in the body. It only affects the muscular system. But in Miyoshi, the one that I've told you, Miyoshi myotrophic disease, that one is where you find that, for example, it affects the breathing muscles or the muscles of the muscles that affect the breathing system. Okay, so in that situation, that's when it becomes fatal.
Dysphalinopathy can be managed by occupational therapy, respiratory therapy, speech therapy, using assistive devices such as wheelchairs and crutches, and proper nutrition. For Hamilton Muhanga and his brothers, the fact that the disease has no cure has not dampened their hopes for better days.
Naona pengine ugonjwa make hata tumejaribu hospitali tukaenda tukajaribu kwenda kwa maombi, tukajaribu kwenda kwa ganga, lakini hakuna difference yoyote.
Hamilton would have wanted to get married and settled, but because of his condition, he says women have always ran away from him.
Wasichana wananikataa make wanatembea chini kitambaa. Sasa mtu anaona nje kuishi na huyu mjinga huyu ambaye anashindwa kutembea. Kwa hivyo kila msichana namkatia lakini anakataa.
Hamilton, together with his brothers, depend entirely on their mother for many things like personal grooming. This, he says, often leaves them with punctured egos.
Kutafutiwa chakula kama mtoto, kufanya mambo mingi kama mtoto, kupelekea maji bafu kama mtoto. Kufua nafua mwenyewe, lakini nakaa chini alafu nafua. Nikifua navuta karai zangu mpaka pale, alafu nashika mahali hivi alafu natundika nguo zangu.
But hope, as they say, is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness.
Na matumaini ya kuona kesho na kufanya mambo, kupiga hatua kimaisha.
Bado sijaoa, lakini natamani nitaoa siku moja. Wasee nawataka, lakini bado natafuta. Nikipata nitaoa, lakini kwa sasa sina familia.
Wanakuambiaje? Ukiongelesha msichana anakuambiaje?
Nikuongelesha msichana hakuna shida, lakini ndio najiangalia naona siwezi. Kwa hivyo sitaki kuoa mapema. Lakini matumaini ya kuwa niko nayo, na matumaini ya maisha yangu kubadilika yako.
Their younger brother, Benson, thought he had escaped the disease, only for it to catch up with him as well when he was in Form 1.
Hapo mwanzo nilidhani eti mimi ndio nimeepuka kati ya sio watatu nimeepuka. Lakini baada ya muda ikanirejelea mimi, kaza kufanya kama hao. Nashangaa vipi umeshoi kaenda hivyo hivyo. Nikakuja kwa sei nimekaa wao. Sote tunafanana sei. Kimatibabu mimi nimeenda, wao ndio wameenda ni hospitali mingi, lakini mimi nilienda hapa Vesu, nikatulia nikaona haiendi. Saa tumezunguka, saa sote tumefika mwisho, tukaona wacha tuje tulie nyumbani, lakini bado tuko na matumaini siku moja itaisha, lakini hatujui ni lini itaisha.
Like his brothers, the disease has left him stuck in a tricky situation that may not change anytime soon.
Ile sifurahii kufanyiwa ni nini, kutafutiwa chakula, kwenda shopping, mpaka siku hizi huwa nashindwa hata kwenda shopping huwa nashindwa. Lakini kama kazi zingine, kufua, kupika, kuoga, nafanya mwenyewe, lakini hivyo vitu mpaka viwe karibu ndio nifanye. Kuoga naoga vizuri, lakini bora mama akiwa hapa ndio anachukua nini haraka, anaweka maji kwa bathroom, anapita, si tuenda kuoga tu. Kama hayuko ni kushikilia ukuta na kuingia kuoga.
Their mother also feels burdened and wishes things would have been different.
Mimi niko na matumaini kama wangetafutiwa pahali waende wakakae, ingekuwa sawa kabisa. Maana shida ninapata ni nyingi kwa nyumba. Saa ingine unaomba mpaka maombi inakatika. Uwasaidie sana. Kila mmoja apate mahali ataenda kukaa. Nitakuwa ni furaha kwangu.
Despite advising them against getting married without proper tests being undertaken, Dr. Fanuel says people living with this condition should not be victims of stigma. He says one can live with the condition as long as they are assisted and enabled.
Somebody can live with it so long as somebody is assisted to have those assistive devices and do a lot of physiotherapy to make sure that the muscles are strong enough, and also to have a good diet. They can live as long as to a very long period of life.
Even though it is a rare disease, many around you could be living with it unknowingly. Some could be afraid to come out for fear of stigma, but the best thing to do is to visit your nearest health facility and get help before it's too late. Chebet Birir for Health Digest, KTN News.